Hi, friend, and welcome to Fear into Faith Global Bible Revival, where we're on a mission to get 1 million people to read the Bible cover to cover in a year. I'm your host, Summer Day, and with me today in the studio is Cheree Sauer. Ta-da! Bright and cheery and yellow. How are you doing?
I just want to match your summer sunshine.
Oh, you're winning. That's probably the best answer I've heard from anyone thus far. I love it. I support that. Yes, it's great.
Summer and sunshine.
Okay, tell everybody a little bit about you. Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Spokane, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived there my whole life, other than the last 3 years when we've lived in an RV and started traveling.
Oh, you just live in an RV and started traveling for 3 years. I wonder if I know someone who did that.
Weird.
In case you don't know, my husband and I did that. That's awesome. Are you back in Spokane right now, or?
Yes, we've been back for a year, unintentionally. We were planning to keep traveling, and now we are putting down our roots again. So,
And what's your favorite place you went to? You get asked that all the time.
You can ask that question.
Right.
All of the places. Silver Falls in Oregon. The San Diego Zoo was really cool.
Nice.
California, all parts of California. Anywhere there's ocean, you'll find me. Utah was beautiful. I would go back to Utah any day.
And you have kids?
More there. Yep, 2 kids, 11 and 9. Or sorry, no, they're 12 and 10 now.
12 and 10.
And 10.
Okay, so if we math, they were 7 and 9 when you started.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, do they still want to travel, or are they good to put down?
They are ready to put down roots. That's why we're staying put. They joined a homeschool program and came home and was like, Mom, we're running for president and treasurer. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that makes our answer for us.
Okay, there you go. I love it. How long have you been married?
Oh my gosh, going on. My husband always laughs at me because he knows the numbers and I don't. Going on 18 years, I think.
Good job. We'll pretend like you got it right for sure. And then what do you do?
I'm a life and business coach. I specialize in work-life balance and burnout.
Oh,
for
that's
business
good.
owners. Yeah.
That's really good. Specialize in work-life balance and burnout. I've been there, been there.
Me too, 4 times.
Wow. How long have you been doing that?
Gosh, how long have I been doing that? That specifically, about 4 years.
What's your favorite thing about doing that?
Oh, the women seeing the light at the end of the tunnel just after the first couple of sessions of that like weight off of their shoulders and just feeling feeling like there's a light at the end of the tunnel and that they don't have to stay in this overwhelm and this oppression.
What's like the first thing you teach them?
I teach them how to manage their energy. So I find that most business owners, and I think just women in general, are going through the motions and wearing all the different hats and juggling all the things and really helping them to figure out where they should be spending their time and their energy to be the most productive, the most profitable, and the most energized and fulfilled.
So good. So good. I always say that, in high school, like, one semester of home ec does not make you a good mom or a good wife. And like, you don't learn any of those skills. Where do you ever learn the skills of time management or how to balance those things so you don't burn out?
Yeah.
I feel like you and me are the common denominator. There's just, I think if we had to guess, most women out there have suffered from burnout more than one time. And they don't know what they don't know. They don't have a system, right? So I love that. You bring in a system.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah. My background is sports medicine. So I worked with high performing athletes for 14 years. I have a master's degree in sports psychology. And after getting burnt out for the 4th time, I was like, it's in sports, they have a 3-to-1 rest to performance ratio. In farming, they have a 3-to-1 rest to performance ratio. So why can't I apply this to my own life? And what if I could teach other people how to apply that to their lives and their businesses?
Okay. Now, what does that mean? 3-to-1.
Yep. So in sports, just to give you an example, they have a rest season, right, where they're not doing anything. It doesn't mean they're couch potatoes, but it's less intensity. Okay. They're still doing their sport. They're maybe shooting hoops, but they're having fun and they're enjoying it. And then they move into their preseason, which is where they are working on skill sets, right? Team building, that kind of stuff. And then they move into their competition season, and that becomes a higher intensity, but it's more about mindset. And then their peak season or post season, that's like your March Madness, going for the Olympic gold medal. That's the busy season. That's the peak season. It's all about their sport in that season, and most other things get taken off their plate, right? And so in business, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, every single industry has slow seasons and they have busy seasons, and they might have a couple in between. And so I created something that's called the RAMP method. And so it teaches them how to rest, align, master, peak. So it's helping them create intentions and seasons within their business and within their life. Instead of being reactive, they get to be proactive and know what goes in each of those seasons and what does not go in those seasons.
So good. I love it. How does somebody find out how to coach with you? Do you have a website? Anything like that?
Yep. So a couple different ways. We have an ebook, Success Without Sacrifice. So 5 simple tools.
That's so good. Hold on. Success Without Sacrifice. It's possible.
Yes, it is possible. That's the name of our business, Success Without Sacrifice, because that's what I believe. That's what I've learned in my own life, is that I sacrificed my health, my relationships, my fulfillment. And I realized that we don't have to do that if we are just intentional about what we do and how we do it.
So can they buy your ebook on like Amazon?
They can just download it for free.
Oh, you're so awesome. They can get it for free. Okay, y'all need to go get Success Without Sacrifice. I think your website is ChereeSauer.com. Yeah, go get your copy. Because I guarantee some of you are having success and sacrifice, and let's just not take that off the table. I love it.
Yeah,
I want to read it now. I'm going, I need to apply some of that to my life. I love it. That's great. Yeah. And so you just came here and got a chance to read in the other room, read the Bible. What was that like for you?
It was good. It was interesting being on, like, reading a Bible. I've done it in person in Bible studies and in my own life, but never, to somebody. So that was really, really fun.
Did you feel like anything in any of the passages stuck out for you?
Yeah, honestly, the first ones were Mark chapters 5-7, and it was all about deliverance. And God has really been laying that on my heart lately, that I'm going to deliver some people in my family. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a part of that. And so it's like, these meeting you and your events, and then that just kind of like set it in there, like just keeps laying it on there, like little by little, getting me to step out of my comfort zone. So
yeah, it's interesting how some churches won't talk about that. I'm not sure why, because if you look at just the Gospels, deliverance is talked about like over 200 times.
Yeah. Just in Mark, like the amount of deliverance in those 2 chapters.
And then somehow that's just like the part that's left out. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
Wow. So you felt like it was really speaking to you when you were reading it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
I love it. Well, why did you want to come and read? What made you say yes to this project?
I just, for a long time, I was not in the Word. I didn't grow up Christian. I dabbled in and out of churches with friends and family and different things like that. And then when I was in college, we got invited to go to a Bible study. And so I started to learn more. And when I first started going to church, it was going because that's like what good people do, right? Like I felt like I should go to church.
When you go to church, there's a lot of people that aren't really good.
Yeah.
Not kind.
And I had this perception that if you were a Christian, you were a good person.
Oh.
And if you were not a Christian, not that you were a bad person necessarily, but that's not how it works. And that's
you had some very interesting theology. We're going to unpack that. Well, first we're going to take a break, and then we'll be right back after this. And then we're going to hear more. Welcome back, my friend. We're here with Cheree Sauer, and we were talking about, how you're a coach, and tell us the name of your business again.
Success Without Sacrifice.
Success Without Sacrifice. It just feels beautiful. It feels fabulous. And we were talking a little bit about just your sort of journey, and you were saying you weren't raised in the church and a bunch of other things. And actually, I want to go back to that.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that. Since you weren't raised in the church, do you remember when you first heard about God or anything like that?
Yeah. I remember being in church with my aunt and people talking about how you could pray to God.
And how old were you?
Oh, gosh. I don't even know. 4 or 5. I was young, little. And so I remember I would pray to God, and I remember we had a Bible at home and we would read the Bible, but my mom grew up Catholic. And so she was very anti-church, very anti-religion, not like anti-God, but we just didn't go to church. She didn't like it. It just was not a part of her life. And then I went to church here and there with friends and different family through high school and whatnot. But
like you'd have a slumber party and next day go to church.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And, I had always prayed to God. I believed in God, but I didn't really know Jesus. I didn't know Jesus Christ. I didn't really know what that meant. And I thought it was weird.
God was okay, but Jesus was weird.
Yeah. It was like Jesus freaks,
So did you know Jesus freaks?
Not really. No, it was more just.
Hi, I'm Summer Dan with Jesus Freak. Nice to meet you.
So I remember being in college.
Okay.
And I was studying because I was a high achiever. I was always studying. And I was just sitting in the cafeteria one night by myself. It's like super late. And this girl comes up and she's like, do you know Jesus? And I was like, well, I pray to God, and like, I believe in God. And she's like, well, can I just pray for you? And so I was like, sure. This is like super awkward,
super creepy,
like super weird, you know? And then that was that. And then
so she prayed for you. How did you feel when she prayed for you?
It was awkward. I felt really weird and really awkward. And to this day, I'm like, well, maybe that's what led me to, I don't know. I don't know. At the time it was weird and it was awkward, but so that was kind of my journey. And then in kind of like toward the end of college, I had, and actually after I graduated college, I think I had been invited to just like a home Bible study fellowship.
Okay.
And it was very different than churches that I had been to, because church, it was very superficial, I felt like, and it was like you dress up and you go and you have to look perfect and be perfect. And this was like really getting into the word.
Wow.
And really learning the meaning of the words, the Greek, the Hebrew. And I became just fascinated with it, and I'm just on a totally different level. And after going to that for, I don't even know, 5 years or so. I remember they would always open the meetings with prayer.
So you went to that for 5 years?
I'm trying to remember the timeline. Maybe not 5. So no, maybe not 5. I graduated college in 2005.
Okay.
And no, so not that long. I guess it feels like a long time. Graduated in 2005, and I got baptized in 2006 before I got married.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah,
and so you got married. Was your husband a believer?
So same thing for him. He had, been invited to churches and kind of believed in God and, that kind of thing, but not really. And we started going to this Bible study together. And so we were both baptized in 2006 before our wedding. We both decided that we wanted to get baptized and devote our lives to Jesus. And so that was kind of our journey into that. And so we got baptized before we got married.
And then once you got baptized, you just held on to Jesus the whole time?
I did, yes.
Oh.
My husband, not so much.
Ooh, is that a story to share?
Yeah, I'm happy to share about
what happened.
So probably about pre-COVID, so 5 years ago, somewhere around there, he had really just started to question his faith. And I think there were a couple different things that happened. This is my perception of it, not his necessarily. But he had a few friends that had passed away of cancer that were believers, and that were really, we were all praying for healing, and they were believing, and kind of back to back. And then we had a friend who had set out a prayer request for a 17-year-old kid that had been shot in the head, and he had a bullet in his brain.
Oh my gosh.
And I just remember it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I remember God just telling me, like, you need to go pray for this kid. Like, I don't even know who this kid is. And I was like, okay, I don't even know how we're going to get to the hospital. Like, I don't know anything, right?
Wow.
And so a friend and I, we go to the hospital, and we didn't know how we were going to get in, because it's like after hours, and this whole experience. And we somehow, like, it was like the heavens just opened, but the door opened, and the nurse was like, oh, do you guys need in? Like, it looks like you guys need in. Like, there's no way we should have gotten in. It was after hours. He's on like the ICU floor. And so we get there, and his nurse is like, "Are
And
you
usually
family?"
if, I was gonna say, usually if they're under 18, they're gonna ask for your family and not let you in.
Yep. They just
Okay, so they asked
let
for your
us
family,
in.
and what happened?
Yep. So then the nurse asked if we were family, and we were like, "No, we're just friends. We just really want to pray." And she's like, "I'll give you 5 minutes." And so she stood outside, and we went in and we prayed over him, and it was like, it's probably gonna put me in tears because it's like just one of the most miraculous things ever. And oh gosh, I'm gonna get emotional. And I just like had this vision of him getting up and walking and eventually just devoting his life to God. And he was in gangs and had kind of gotten mixed up, and our friend was trying to, help him. And so he was trying to get out of trouble and get away from this. And he ended up getting shot in the head. And so he had a bullet in his brain. They said he had 24 hours to live.
Oh my gosh.
They couldn't do surgery because of where it was at. And so we went in, we prayed for healing. And so I came home and I had told my husband about this experience. And he was like, I just remember seeing it on his face. He just couldn't fathom, how do you have this kind of faith?
Mm-hmm.
I don't hear God the way that you hear God. And so I think that's kind of what spiraled it down. But
Can you tell us what happened?
oh yeah, so so I want to say it was maybe 48 hours, 72 hours later. He should have been dead.
Mm-hmm.
And within just a couple of days, he had woke up. And last we knew, he woke up. He got released from the hospital. He was in a wheelchair. He wasn't able to talk. And then unfortunately, his family kind of stepped in and we were separated and we never heard what happened again. So we have no idea where this kid is or whatever happened.
But he woke up and didn't die.
And did not die and still had a bullet in his brain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So that was kind of my first. I mean, I had always prayed over healing over athletes and, different things like that, but never over somebody like that was unconscious.
Well, then take us back to that moment with your husband. And what happened?
So just over the next couple of years, he had just kind of started to question, do I believe in God? And, I'm like, I journal and I pray and I just really had to learn how to have quiet time with God. And this really works. And he's like, I've tried that. It doesn't work for me. And so I think he just never really, he just didn't know how to hear, he just never heard from God. And so that just sent him down on a path of questions, and the more questions led to more questions and more doubt. And eventually he was just like, I don't think I'm going to end up on the side you want me to. And so I was like, okay. And so that was kind of a whole journey in itself. But yeah, he was like, I'm atheist. I just don't believe. And so he believes that Jesus is a man, and he believes that the people who wrote the Bible were.
Okay, now you're leaving us on a cliffhanger. We're going to have to pause. We'll take another break, and then we'll be right back right after this. Oh, my goodness. Nobody knows what we're talking about, which is crazy. Welcome back, my friend. We're here with Cheree. It's great interviewing you. You left us kind of on this cliffhanger. I think at the break, I was like, wait, where's the ending of the story, Cheree? Where are you going? I've never heard this story.
Yeah.
And you were talking a little bit about your husband's faith and how he started to question it. Yeah. And he's kind of just in this season where he's like, I think Jesus might have been a good man, and the Bible was written by men, and all this. And what I loved is about the way you were talking about this. Instead of you freaking out about it and then trying to push at him more, you just released it. Yeah. Tell me more about that. That's really awesome.
Yeah. We did have a season where I would try to send him a scripture or a podcast interview where I was trying to convince him of why he needed to believe or why he should believe. And it's creating a lot of tension for us. And finally, one night I just prayed to God about it. And he just made it really clear. And he said, Cheree, this is between me and him, not between you and him. Your job is to love him. And your job is to love him through it. And I have had peace ever since. And so I was like, okay, it's not my job. And so
this is so good. You all know why this is good? I haven't had any interviews even remotely like this. I mean, talking about you being able to just really release somebody in the care of God, I think that's amazing. I love that. I think that's beautiful. I think so often we actually turn people off to things when we're well-meaning.
Yeah.
But instead of recognizing the season of, okay, I'm just going to turn it over to God, we actually push harder.
Yeah.
And so I love that you like pushed and then realized, okay, I'm going to turn you over to God.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just that God just made it very clear to me. And because I was trying to push him, right? I wanted it to be my way.
Yeah. Why would you want that?
And I just realized that's up to God. And so I remember him telling me like you're not afraid I'm going to go to hell. And I said, one, you've already been saved. You already confessed that. And two, that's between you and God. I don't know if it's in a couple years. I don't know if it's going to be on your deathbed, but you're going to come back to him at some point.
Come on.
And I'm just going to believe that. And he knows that. And we're super open and honest about it. And with our kids, we're just really honest about it. And I tell them what my beliefs are and why. And he tells them what his beliefs are and why. And we say it's up to you for you to, choose what you believe. And I think it's been, would I want this? No. And it's also been amazing for my own personal journey and growth, because I felt like I had become very, I didn't feel like I was religious, but I felt like I was becoming religious. And I was trying to, I was sometimes just like mean with my boys, like, you have to pray this way, or, it was like very perfectionistic and very fear driven, which is not what God is. God's grace. And so, I honestly, I don't think I would change it, because I know that there's going to be good things that come out of it. And I know that there's other interfaith marriages and people who are struggling, and like, how do you go into a marriage? How, this is what we've decided on. This is how we chose to raise our kids. And that was my husband's biggest fear. He got very sick and very depressed because he was keeping it inside and was afraid that I was going to leave him. And I was like, I didn't marry you because of that. That's not why I married you. That's not why I fell in love with you. That's just something that we happened to do together. Yeah. And you're the same person. You have the same values. He hasn't changed. Yeah. It's just our beliefs are different. And so we've just gotten to a point where I respect his beliefs and he respects mine. And we don't try to convince one another, and we don't try to change each other. We just love each other.
Amazing. You have figured out how to survive this crazy cancel culture.
Yes.
Where so many people, they get so afraid. Let's just take it out of religion and make it politics, right? Yeah. People are like, well, you didn't vote for the president that I voted for president. And then whole families and everybody are ripped apart. Yeah. I think this is beautiful. I think people need to hear how to be in relationship with somebody who's a great and amazing person that just has this one little difference over here. Yeah. I just think that's really awesome. Do you have any tips of just along that lines of people are in that where they're struggling, where there's not an agreement? How can they have the grace you have?
Honestly, God, it's relationship, right? Like, that is not my own. I can't say I'm the martyr and I chose to love him through this, or like, that was just God. That was just me like, okay, God, I don't know what to do. And he just spoke that so clearly to my heart. And so I would say, if you're the believer, just pray. Like, all you can do is pray for them. That's between them and God. It's not our job to convince. It's not our job to judge people. Yeah. Our job is just to love them.
So good.
And to listen to, if God says to go minister or to go do this thing, then we go and we be obedient. But when we try to push and force, then that's where we get into trouble, I think. And even with our kids, I think I had gotten to a point where it was like, no, you have to, like, I want you to believe this. You have to believe this. And I know a lot of people who have had a lot of church hurt because of actually fear driven, and like, it has to be this way and this is the only way and you can't ask questions. And so I'm thankful in a lot of ways that I think it's helped me to be healthier. Our relationship is healthier. I feel like the way that I talk about God is a lot healthier with my kids. And so
that's beautiful. When you mentioned about the kids and, you're both saying this is what I believe, you guys make your own decisions. My first thought is like, oh my gosh, I'd be so terrified. Like, what if they then are listening to the Father? But I think you're right. It's a beautiful opportunity for them, because in the real world, you're presented with information, right? And you get to make your own powerful decisions. So you guys are modeling, first of all, how to present information on two sides of a spectrum with grace, with honor, with respect. Your kids are probably getting an opportunity, I would imagine, to learn communication skills, learn grace, learn honor, learn respect in a way that a lot of kids don't get.
Yeah.
So I love it. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
That you've managed to teach that to them.
Yeah, it's that there was that fear, that initial fear, right, for the kids, but it was the same thing with my husband. It's not my job. It's not all I can do is mentor them, and I can be there for them, and I can lead by example. And that's really what it comes down to, I think, is leading by example of this is how I live my life, and this is how I choose to believe, and just being really open and honest with them. Because we kind of hid it for a while. Like, why isn't Daddy coming to Bible study anymore? Like, why doesn't he ever come with us? And so it was like, oh, he can't come, or he has a headache, or, whatever. Yeah. And finally we just was like, okay, it's time. It's time to just be really open and honest. And, and we definitely have our disagreements for sure. But again, we just respect each other's. We just understand that we're not going to change each other's minds. Yeah. And so good. And eventually, I believe that something's going to happen, and I believe that he's going to have a testimony out of this, and he doesn't believe that, and that's okay.
But you know what? If he respects and loves you, I feel like he will respect and love that, because even if he doesn't believe in God, right? Yeah. That's a high level of honor for you to pray for him, or for you to feel that way. And I think he gets that.
Yeah. And I would say on his end too, he had realized that he was attacking some of my beliefs. Okay. And that was really triggering for me. Mm-hmm. And so that was one of the things that he recognized, that like, I didn't realize that I was attacking your beliefs, and like, I'm sorry for that. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, this is years of, several years of working.
So your next book is something like Peace in the Differences.
Yeah, we've talked about doing a podcast.
You need a podcast. You need to co-author a book. You guys got to spend some time helping out the rest of the world and break down the system, the method of what you could teach people, so they don't have to go through all that heartache of how to have peace and grace in the home through differences. Yeah, we're talking about one semester of home ec, right?
Yes.
School didn't teach us how to have differences. I'm blessed that I have family, I have friends that, we don't vote politically the same, or have the same beliefs, or they're atheists and I'm not. And we've been able to do that. I feel like a large portion of the world hasn't.
Yes.
So,
Cheree. It's like you got to stay in your little bubble and only with the people who are just like you, right?
Yeah.
But that's not how God calls us to. God calls us.
What a beautiful book to be written by a husband and wife, both just honoring those differences. We need to learn how to do that. And to be honest with you, you're modeling Jesus. Yeah. And the best way, if you want somebody to come to Jesus, is to model Jesus. Yeah. He didn't come with a condemning finger. He came with patience. He came with grace. He came with love and honor and respect. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Well, we're at the end.
Thank you.
You did
this
it.
Awesome.
You did a great job.
So
and this was such a different interview than I've had. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for letting me.
I just appreciate it. I feel like you gave me a lot of insight. I want to go check out your ebook. Like, I'm super interested in what you're doing and how you're helping people to manage their time and have success without sacrifice. I love it. I love it, love it, love it.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for watching. I really pray that the Lord speaks to you in this interview about where is there in your life that maybe you could just step up with a little more grace for differences, and maybe find peace in the differences with people in your life. I pray that blesses you. We'll see you next time. Way to go.
Hey,
that was like, good job.